Greetings everyone, this is Dr. LJ. I just wanted to expand on our idea of Stonehenge and remembrance as you get ready to do the assignment for this section of the module, which is the discussion number 3 that we'll talk about at the end. You've read the course materials, you've looked at the idea of definition, the definition of remembrance, and I want to talk about in particular the ancients and their stone gods. See, their gods weren't personal beings. You didn't have a relationship with them. Their gods were the elements. Their gods were the material reality, the things that affected their existence, or the things that caused them to thrive in their existence or helped them survive. Right? And of course, in the ancient world, the most important being stone. You read about Stonehenge. You saw the pictures. You saw inside the circle. You watched the videos. And then we talked about the archaeological dig that I'm a part of at Blickmead. Then you read about Blickmead. You saw the short little video. But Blickmead, those inhabitants of Blickmead, and this here is where we found the standing stone, in this area here, this dwelling, the oldest dwelling in all of Britain. So the first standing stone, or the first stone god in Europe. What's important about Blickmead is it resides back here. And 500 years before Stonehenge was even erected, the people of Blickmead would use this plain area, this Amesbury Plain area. They would force the aurochs down. The hunting parties would converge upon them and kill the animals right about where Stonehenge is. They would field dress the meat. They would put it on rafts. They would float it down the river Avon, which is just back here a little ways, and then end up in Blickmead, this area back in here. And every year they would leave. And every year they would come back and they would return. And this was how life was for these nomadic peoples. And so in order to remember life, to remember their presence, to remember their mark on the land, they erect their stone gods, the memorials. And that's what the stone gods are. An offering to the gods of our memorial existence, right? See, they don't sacrifice a life. They don't celebrate death or weakness. They're not hoping for a resurrection. They're solidifying it, memorializing it in stone. It's permanent. And so every year they return to this place. A lot of things can happen in a year. That's why memorials are important. Before Stonehenge, in the Amesbury Plain, not far from where Stonehenge is built, you have these burial mounds. These mounds look something like this. And so every year, when the ancients would return to Blickmead and the surrounding area, they would bring their dead with them. They would carry them on their backs. And every year they would put them in their burial mound. And then when the season was over, they would gather the bones with them and they would carry them with them. A tribute to the stone gods. Now, you watch the video, and this is why Blickmead's so important. You watch the video in relation to the science of why Stonehenge is important. And of course, right, you have the hippies that descended upon Stonehenge. You have people every day that come to Stonehenge now and walk around the outside They stand in awe of it. You look at the memorials, right? You see the altar stone in the middle, people on the outside here, the heel stone in the back, but people on the outside. And this is how you view Stonehenge, and this is what the hippies wanted, right? They wanted to see it. They wanted to descend on it. They climbed the stones, right? They couldn't wait to get in the center of the circle. And from the video, you hear a lot of people talking about how it's related to the solstice. And no one is denying this. That no one would deny that the solstice is not the central part of this ceremony. That the solstice lines up perfectly with the heel stone where they would enter. They would follow one side of the avenue and they would lay the bones down at the altar. So the solstice is extremely important, but it's not about the solstice. It has something to do with these burial mounds and erecting memorial stone gods going all the way back to Blickmead. And no doubt the avenue right on the solstice, but that's the point. I want you to see the avenue. For the ancients, Stonehenge was not meant to be viewed from the inside. Everybody today clamors to get inside Stonehenge, to get to the stones, to see it, to consume it. The hippies wanted to get inside. People want to climb on the stones. And no doubt, I've had the privilege of walking in the center and they take your breath away and you're in awe. But for the ancients, it was not meant to be viewed from the inside. It was not meant to get to. The stones and the solstice were not the event. See the avenue. There are two pathways. There are two pathways because there are two events in life, birth and death. And for the ancients, the dead are always with them. In silence and somberness, they walk up one side of the avenue with the bones of the dead. They enter through the heel stone. And they look out. They lay the bones on the altar in the middle and they turn towards the solstice, back towards the heel stone, and they look out. And that's the point. Stonehenge is to be viewed from the inside out. They lay the bodies of the dead down. They sacrifice them to the stone gods. They turn them over as a memorial. They become part of the stone and bone. But then the convergence of myth with reality. They pick up the bones of the dead and they put them on their backs, and in joy and celebration they leave on the other side of the avenue. The convergence is that space between birth and death. We call it living. Memorials are for the living. Stonehenge is for the living, but not as the destination, but rather the space to bring the dead, to bring our kin. And in the respect of remembrance, we place stone gods to their memorial. But like the ancients, we must pick them up. We must carry them with us. We must carry their dreams. We must carry their intents and even their trauma. As long as we live, we carry them with us. And when we're confronted by the solstices, by the changes in time and space, we set up the stones to help us remember them and us. We are the land. We are the peoples. We are the ones that leave our marks of human myth and reason on the topography of the rocks as we live lives in remembrance. Stonehenge is for the living. Get living. All right, our assignment is discussion 3. If you go there, you have 2 questions to answer, and of course, you have directions for replying. Your rubric is provided as always. If you have any questions, please send me an email. Good luck on the assignment.